The floor to His Excellency Mr. Riyad Al-Maliki, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of the Observer State of Palestine.
Mr. President, we are here today to stop the killing, to stop the massacres being committed against the Palestinian people. The ongoing massacres being deliberately and systematically and savagely perpetrated by Israel, the occupying power, against the Palestinian civilian population under its illegal occupation must be stopped. The Security Council has a duty to stop them. The international community is obliged under international law to stop them. It is our collective human duty to stop them. Now, continued failure at this Council is inexcusable. Mr. President, we express appreciation to Brazil for convening this session of the Security Council and elevating its participation in light of the gravity of the situation we are facing. We thank the Secretary General of the United Nations for his sobering briefing and for his tireless efforts, and that of the UN agencies and humanitarian staff on the ground, particularly UNRWA, working round the clock under the most inhumane conditions to aid our people and uphold a minimum sense of humanity. We mourn with them the senseless killing of UNRWA staff and other humanitarian workers, including doctors, nurses, and paramedics, who were directly targeted by this ongoing barbarous aggression. They are heroic champions of humanity at a time of abject depravity. Mr. President, over 2 million Palestinians are on a survival mission every day, every night. By the time representatives are done delivering their speeches today, 150 Palestinians will have been killed, including 60 children. In the last 2 weeks, over 5,700 Palestinians have been killed, including over 2,300 children and 1,300 women. Compared to the population of Gaza, that is the equivalent of 145,000 British citizens or 700,000 US citizens. Almost all those killed by Israel are civilians. Over 1 million displaced, 170,000 housing units destroyed. Excellencies, only international law and peace are worthy of your country's unconditional support. More injustice and more killing will not make Israel safer. No amount of weapons, no alliance will bring to it security. Only peace will. Peace with Palestine and its people. The fate of the Palestinian people cannot continue to be dispossession, displacement, denial of rights, and death. Our freedom is the condition of shared peace and security. You have all spoken of the Palestinian people's legitimate grievances, addressing them, of their legitimate aspirations, help achieving them, of their right to self-determination, support its realization. For those actively engaged to avoid an even greater humanitarian catastrophe and regional spillover, it must be clear that this can only be achieved by putting an immediate end to the Israeli war launched against the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. Stop the bloodshed.
Thank His Excellency Mr. Al-Maliki for his statement. And I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Eli Cohen, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Israel.
Mr. President, Minister of Foreign Affairs, members of the Security Council, as we meet here today, young babies, children are held in Gaza. This is beyond imagination, a living nightmare. Ofri, 10 years old, Avigail, 3 years old. Maya, 17 years old. Raz, 4 years old. Aviv, 2 years old. Ariel, 4 years old. Kfir, little Kfir, only 9 months. Yuval, 8 years old. Ophir, 17 years old. There are just a few of the many children and babies that have not seen evil. They have not caused evil, but they are victims of evil. These kids witness horror which cannot be described by word. Mr. Secretary General, in what world do you live? Definitely, this is not our world. Do I want to remember the creation of hell, the shouts of the raiders in joining the hunt, cries of the wounded begging for life, faces of mothers craved with pain, hiding children, dripping with fear? No, I don't want to remember. But how can I forget? Do I want to remember this world upside down? Families vanish in the midst of the day. The mass graves steaming with vapor of blood. Mothers screaming for children in vain. No, I have to remember and never let you forget. This heart-burning poem was written by Alexander Kimmel, a Holocaust survivor in 1942. 5 years later, the United Nations General Assembly voted in favor of the creation of the Jewish state, the birth of the State of Israel. 75 years ago was a clear statement: never again, never again. Hamas are the new Nazis. Just as the civilized world united defeat the Nazis, just as the civilized world united to defeat ISIS, the civilized world has to stand united behind Israel to defeat Hamas. Let us not mistaken about Hamas' intention. I'm sure, Secretary General, you can read it. Its charter clearly calls for the destruction and elimination of the State of Israel. This will never be. Over 220 were taken hostage. Among the hostages, children who have seen their parents murdered. Holocaust survivor, elderly in need for care and medicine. We call for immediate the Red Cross access to all the hostages and their unconditional release.